Alright folks, here it is, a survival kit from Harbor Freight, and we're going to check it out right now on Kitbashed Survival. So yeah, I picked this up at Harbor Freight a couple weeks ago. The brand name is Gordon, which is one of Harbor Freight's brands that they sell. It's kind of a reflective font, so it might be hard to see on the video. And this cost me $27, which I'm going to go out on a limb already without even opening it up and say $27 is probably a decently fair price. I mean, it's not going to be a ripoff no matter what's in here. So let's see. So right on the front, they've got the flashlight, a spork tool, which is unusual for these kind of kits. I'll talk more about that in a minute. And then a knife. Says 12 pieces, includes a stainless steel survival knife, 7-in-1 multi-use spork, flashlight, a pocket bellow, wire saw, water bottle clip, emergency blanket, fishing tools, survival bracelet, fire starter, saber card. I'm not sure what that is. I guess we'll find out. I think I know what it is, but we'll be sure when we open it up. And then a tactical pen. All the essentials for any emergency. Water-resistant storage case included. I'm glad they were honest about that. It does come in one of those cases that some deceptive sites will say is waterproof. It is not. And then it's compact and lightweight. And they've got a picture of the contents and then some, information about more of the contents on each side. So pretty descriptive packaging. Seems pretty honest on the surface. They're not really promising that it's something that it isn't yet or anything. So I can't fault anything with it at this point. Now, I can tell you already, I can look inside here and I can see that black water-resistant box. And these are what I like to call the Chinese mix and match survival kits. They're always made in China. And let me show you something. I've got a bunch of these that I've accrued over the years. So let's see. We've got this one, which is actually got a label on the box, which is fairly rare. And then we've got these, anonymous ones. There's a space where you could put a logo if you wanted to, if the client wanted to, but obviously they didn't want to pay the extra money for it, so it's just a generic green water-resistant box. And I call them the Chinese mix and match survival kits because I don't know for a fact, but my theory is that there is a factory or factories or companies over in China that you can contact and they will build you a survival kit, and they give you a list of items that you can choose to have in the kit, and you can choose whichever items you want, and the cost changes appropriately, and that's how they work. So, the gear is never top grade or anything like that. It's usually pretty mediocre gear, but, in an emergency, like they always say, the best gear is what you have with you. And so it's certainly better than having nothing at all. But on the other hand, it's not going to be stuff that's going to last a lifetime. But in a pinch, usually it'll do, it'll do the job. Let's just put it that way. Sort of. And so that's what this is. This is one of the Chinese mix and match survival kits that's been packaged for Gordon and being sold at Harbor Freight. It's sealed up pretty well. I'm going to have to just cut it out of the back like this, I think. Alright, so there's that card that was wrapped around the kit. They've actually got their logo on there, which is, again, like I said, something you usually don't see on these. So they did go the extra few cents and actually have their logo applied to the front of the box. And they've got a warning label on the back. So, they did put a little more effort into this. They told the factory over there, yeah, put a label on it. We'll pay the extra 3 cents or whatever it is. Now, I said the spork was unusual because up until now, I've never seen one of these tools in a Chinese mix and match survival kit. And so this is something fairly unique, at least to me. So you got the spork, which pops out of there. You got a bottle opener, got a little serrated edge there, sort of like a saw. You got a little hex wrench there. And then we got a knife right here, kind of a butter knife type sharpness, which is fine. This is for food. It's not for killing a bear with, so no problems there. And then we got a whistle built into the end of the spork, which is kind of cool. Not the best whistle. You got to blow pretty hard, but it does work. So I'll give him that. But yeah, first time I've seen one of these in a Chinese mix and match survival kit, which in and of itself makes this a fairly unique kit. Then we've got the knife. And this is one of those no-name, Chinese knives. It feels okay. There's a little bit of play. It is what it is. I mean, honestly, for $27, what are you expecting? I can shave with it. I mean, so it is sharp. It will cut. Now, how long the blade will stay sharp, that's anybody's guess. It's probably not the best steel quality in the world, but it is sharp. It will cut. And, in a pinch, it would get the job done for a little while. We've got a cord cutter right here, or a belt cutter, if you will. And then there's a glass breaker on this end. And they've got a little protective piece of plastic over the belt clip, I guess to protect the knife. I'm going to keep that. It's a little tube. Could come in handy for something. So, yeah, your typical Chinese mix and match survival kit knife. Not great by any means, but in a pinch, it's better than nothing. The best survival kit is the one you have. The best knife is the one that you have. And given a choice of this or nothing, I would take this any day. Got our flashlight, and you've seen these. I mean, these are just a dime a dozen. You can go on Alibaba and get 10 of them for $5 or something like that. I'm assuming it does not come with the AA battery. Oh, it does. Look at that. Had a little insulating piece there to keep it from accidentally being turned on in transit. It's very flimsy. Ooh, look at that. I can squish the battery. Let's see. Thunderbolt Magnum. Watch out, Duracell and Energizer. Thunderbolt Magnum is here. I mean, this is really... I wonder if it actually works. Let's see. That is a really flimsy battery. It works. I mean, not the best again, but it does the job. Got a flash, dim, bright, and flash. So 3 modes. Like I said, you've seen these before. Nothing special, but it does come with the battery, which is something. Now, I would probably replace the battery in there with something of better quality, but, at least it has it. And then, of course, you want to put that insulating piece back in so that it doesn't accidentally turn on when you don't want it to. So we've got those 3 things. Now let's crack open the box itself. So it's got 4 little buckles. Water resistant. Some kits that you buy tout it as waterproof, which it's not. So at least they're being honest there. All right, so 12-piece emergency survival kit. All that stuff. So we've got our requisite emergency blanket. Unlabeled, but there it is. We've got our fishing gear. Let's see. Got a hook, a single hook, a single little rubber grub, and then we've got a little spool of fishing line. Looks pretty light test, probably 6 or 8 pound test at most. But, it's the bare minimum. Then we've got the wire saw, of course. Now, these are probably not the most well-built wire saws, but it might work for a little bit. So I've got a nice dry piece of lumber here. We'll try the wire saw. It's been a while since I've tried one of these. Hey, it works. It got stuck a few times, but it works pretty fast. Then we've got our ferro rod and striker, it looks like. And, again, pretty typical for these kits. I've seen these a million times. They're decent. They do work. It's got a bottle opener, a ruler. Looks like kind of a little hex wrench. And then a scraper on the end. So let's see. Oh, yeah. Works well. No problem there. It's probably the best item in the kit so far, to be honest. All right, then we've got our tactical pen with our glass breaker, our second glass breaker of the day. We've got one on the knife and one on the pen. A little redundancy there. And then the pen itself. Let's see if it writes. Yeah, it does. It's all metal. It's nice. It's okay. It'll do the job. Then we've got our survival bracelet, and we've seen these before. Again, a dime a dozen. You've got the 550 paracord, and when you unravel it, it's probably maybe, I don't know, 10 feet or so. And then you've got a smaller ferro rod and a striker, so you got a little bit of a fire redundancy there. And then you got a liquid compass, which sort of works. Yeah, I guess it works. Took a little while, but now it's working. And we've got a second whistle. Actually, this whistle works better than the one on the spork, so this would be the one I'd use. We've got a pocket bellows. You know, the telescoping bellows. A good thing to have for helping to build a fire. And goes back like that. Not bad. Then we've got this. What is this? This is the water bottle bucket clip. So, let's put our knife to use. So you put that around your water bottle and you clip it in, and then you can attach it to your belt or your pack or what have you. Pretty self-explanatory. And last but not least, we've got our saber card, as they called it, I think. Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's one of these things where you've got the multi-tool and the metal, that little piece of sheet metal. So a little saw there, such as it is. Little bottle opener, got a little edge there, cutting edge. Flathead screwdriver, a ruler, a direction ancillary indication. I forget how to use these, but I probably never will. I got a series of hex wrenches there, and then a 2-position wrench over there, and then another bottle opener here. Oh wait, this is the can opener, and that's the bottle opener. I had it backwards. So yeah, you know, again, nothing out of the ordinary. Pretty typical for these kits. Is it great? No, but is it better than nothing? Absolutely. And that's everything in this kit. So now the big question is, can I fit all this stuff back in here? Because remember, some of it was outside of the box when it was packaged. So let's see. I'm going to take that battery out, like I said, and put the Duracell in there. Although, these days I usually like to use Energizer, because Energizer tends to leak less than Duracell, but Duracell is what I had on hand right now. Alright, it was a tight fit, but I did manage to get it all back in there. Look at that. Oh, now that I have the kit all together in one box, let's see what the combined weight is. 25.6 ounces. And so there you have it, the Gordon 12-piece emergency survival kit from Freight Harbor. What do I think about this? Well, first of all, the price, $27. I don't think that's a ripoff. I think they're being pretty honest. I mean, it's not a premium survival kit by any means. And $27, I think, is a fair price. Let's put it that way. Now, as to the kit itself, it's, you know, it's got some decent gear in there. It's by no means premium. And this is by no means a complete survival kit. It's missing a lot of key components. But for its size, you know, it does have some useful gear. So, you know, if you threw this in the trunk of your car or in your boot, you know, it's better than nothing. I mean, it's certainly better than nothing, but like I said, it is missing some key components. And so I would never classify this as a complete survival kit by any means. If someone was to get this, my recommendation would be, yeah, you can get it, but then you want to supplement it with some other stuff. Maybe put it into a larger bag with some additional gear. And so like a lot of small survival kits I review, I feel the same way about this one. It might be a decent starting point for a larger survival kit, but on its own, it's pretty mediocre. But again, the best survival kit is the one you have with you, and given a choice of this or nothing, I would take this every day. Now, usually on this channel, I will kit bash these things. I'll add gear to them to make them better. But given the limited space in this box, there's really not much more I can add. I would have to put this into a larger container and basically make it into a brand new kit that bears very little resemblance to the original kit. So I'm not going to do that. However, if I was going to add maybe 1 or 2 items to this to try to squeeze them in the box, first I would probably add some water purification pills and a stand-up water bag. And then maybe if there's room, I'd add a butane lighter just to make the fire building abilities a bit easier. But even if I added those 2 items, you know, it would still fall short in a number of categories. So, you know, it is what it is. $27. It's not a ripoff, but you could certainly do better. but it might be a good starting point. Now, as for myself, what I'm going to do with this, what I often do with these Chinese mix and match survival kits, is I will disassemble it and break it up into its individual components, and then use those components for future kit builds, because some of the gear in here is okay. You know, the fishing gear is fine. The fire bellows is fine. You could reuse that somewhere else. The ferro rod and striker, I would say it's excellent. They're really not bad at all, so you could reuse that elsewhere. And the same with some of the other components. So you'll probably see some parts of this kit in future kit builds on this channel, but as for this one, I'm just going to leave it alone for now. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm Eric Siegel. This is Kit Bashed Survival. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.